first impressions in a scrimmage environment of Quinn Hughes on the right side?
He could play left, right, middle, doesn't matter where he plays. He's good. He likes it, and if he's comfortable at it, that's more important than whether I like him there. And he said he really likes it there. He told me that today. So, we'll keep doing it until something better comes along.
Giuseppe seemed to be around the puck a lot. Do you like him?
Really played well and practiced well. And you just wonder, I know he had tons of injuries last couple of years, but he certainly looks like he's pushing for a position on this team.
Sorry if you already answered this yesterday about Kuz, but maybe even more creativity than we might have initially thought, besides the great shot.
Well, he is creative. Anytime he's got the puck, he's dangerous. He's got such good hand skills, and the shot is pretty dynamic from what I've seen so far.
There's only one Coos in this market, though.
Yeah.
What are your impressions of Jack Rathbone? I know he was a guy who was at least on your radar at the end of last season. It didn't kind of work out.
I think a lot of things will determine with Jack will be the preseason games. And, he's slated to play as many as 6 of them. So we'll get a real good look at him more than in a scrimmage. Sometimes you get in the scrimmage or practice, you're practicing and then scrimmaging and scrimmaging, then practicing. It's not the ideal situation, but I think we'll see more about him and we'll evaluate him more in the games.
If Quinn sticks on the right side, obviously that creates an opening on the left, but given the style of player that he is, does it give a little more opportunity to him rather than have 2 of those guys on the left side?
Yeah, I guess. To me, then we had a lot of times last year when Shen played the left side, when Pullman played the left side, and if we keep that, then one of those guys might be the guy moving over. So, or Jack's going to, take that position and then move somebody else. I think the defensive really shown up and did a great job so far. From Rathbone to Burrows, to everybody, to De Kaiser, to everybody.
How does Podkolzin look to you?
You know what? He's in such fabulous shape, and the problem is every mistake that he makes, it sort of wears on him. So I've just told him to relax. He's a really good player. He's going to be a real good player, so we put him back on the left side to make things a little more comfortable for him.
Do you think it wears on him because he has such high expectations for himself?
It wouldn't surprise me. He does everything right and wants to do everything right. So when perfection isn't there, then he gets down on himself, and that's where we got to keep lifting him up.
How much growth did you see in his game in the time that he was with you last year?
Well, from the time I first got there till the time at the end, he was scoring at a pretty regular rate at the end of the season. Now, I know it's supposed to sit there and say, well, it's easier to score at the end of the season sometimes when you're playing non-playoff or non-important games. But he showed me he can play, and like I said, he's so strong. I really see a good future for him.
Coach, how do you approach players who are on PTOs? Do you watch them differently than the other players?
No, no. I just tell them if they need to pick it up, or if they're doing a really good job, keep going. We'll see you in the games. So nothing really different. I think guys that are on PTOs know they're on PTOs, know they have to be good, probably know that they have to be better than good to supplant somebody that's already here.
How difficult is that to take the job of someone who's already on the roster?
Well, it's never easy, but it gets done every year by somebody.
Do you think that, typically those guys obviously have played in the league and paid dues. Do you think it's the right thing to do for the PTO guys to put them somewhere in the lineup that feels like an NHL spot, to give them a chance?
Well, I think like with Danny, that's why he's with Tyler. He's with an NHL guy. We want to put him in a position to succeed, to show us his best play, rather than putting him in with some untested young guy that's more nervous than he is, comfortable type thing. So I think it's important, and it's important to play guys, where their comfort level is. You look at that JT line out there today. I think they're moving the puck around. They're going into the right positions. They're doing a lot of really good things.
Verlander looks
I
really
was-
determined.
I was going to say, let me talk about Hoggy because I think he's the best player on the ice right now. He looks so much faster than he did last year. Determination. He's definitely, he's definitely ready. And, I think last year was a little bit of a setback for him and he doesn't want it to happen again.
So much of him, where it seems, based on what you said and Travis as well, is about his play away from the puck, which obviously is harder to gauge.
Well, young
know,
guys, it's always
yeah.
the hardest thing. So hopefully he learned a lot last year, and again, he's going to be another one playing a lot of preseason games, and we'll see how it goes. But I certainly have liked exactly what he's shown. Let's call it like it is, only 2 days. A lot of guys can look great in 2 days. Let's see how they look in 10 days,
That was going to be my question to you, actually, was how do you weight what you see this weekend versus sort of the long haul, the long distance still to travel in terms of some of these roster battles?
Yeah, it's if they do great, an individual does great this weekend, he has to do it again. If it's a guy that's sort of like challenging for a job, if he does it the one time and then in game 6 he's still in there and he hasn't done much since then, whether it's offensive or defensive, then it doesn't have a lot of clout game 1. But if he's consistently doing well, then all of a sudden, it makes a difference.
Do you notice, whether it's pace or just sort of overall defensive stuff in the scrimmages, sort of just an adjustment period from guys coming over from leagues where they maybe played on the bigger ice sheet, whether it's a Kuzmenko or a Linus Karlsson?
I don't know that. They've all had an awful lot of chances, so maybe it's good goaltending. Who knows? But I think not playing with players and you're putting a new team together almost on all 3 teams or new teams for each other, it makes it, you're more worried about making a mistake than making a great play.
When do we get the pleasure of seeing your skating test?
I don't know.
Tomorrow?
Sometimes they don't need it. No, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It'll be back in, if we do it, it'll be back in Vancouver.
You're kind of doing a little bit of it with your bigger group first, though, right? There is a fitness component toward the end of that test.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there's skating some lines, or what we would have called.
Those are guys that are just losing in the little games we're playing.
Oh, okay, that's a
So
punishment.
the losing team there's got to be some sort of value to winning, right? So, that Bill game that I call it, is there's both days there's a winner and a loser, and we'll do a different game tomorrow, and there'll be there's consequences. Yeah.
You structured all these drills well in advance. Like you said, you had it all planned out. So is it part of it conditioning, part of it how you want them to play ultimately your brand of hockey? And
Well,
building these out.
No, I really would like to play an up-tempo, in-your-face kind of game like we played most of last year, and where you take time and space away and everything else. But we'll see if this group can play that way. Sometimes if you find out you're not having success because they can't play the way you want them to play, you got to dial it down and maybe play a different system. But this is how we're starting off in camp, and we'll see how it goes.
Going back to Hoglander, even though it's just 2 days, it seems at the very least it shows by him a response, like to what happened last year, or desire. Do you see it that way? That at the very least,
it's definitely a response. He knew that he saw who got signed and everything else, and he's counting, and he's going, wow, I better get my stuff together. And he's doing a great job.
How do you feel about the Joshua Lazar Dickinson trio?
You know what? Until you see them in a game and see how they're, I think it's difficult for me to test. All 3 of them have never played with each other. So but if they're going to be an energy stop like line, we'll see how they play during the games. That'll be more of a test for
I
us.
can imagine how you want them to be, but you still got to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, it's only been 2 days, but what have you seen at Brady Keeper?
I really haven't focused on him, but I do know he's a pretty solid guy. And I do know he missed a whole year. So I do know it's going to take some time for him to get back to the reason that they signed him to a one-way in the first place.